bring in the new kicker? What went into that decision, and how do you feel about where your kicking room is?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything we're doing is still being evaluated in competition. So bringing in competition and bringing in a guy who can come and compete and do it right. I think Dominik's shown that just in even in his workout and what he did in Las Vegas.
What did you, when after this last preseason game, did you talk to Joey, and like, what has that conversation been like?
Yeah, I mean, we talk constantly. It's kind of the same kind of conversations as always, like where we can improve in certain areas, the things we gotta get better at as a unit to make him more comfortable and confident, and just making sure every day is he's competing with himself even before someone was here. So that's the biggest conversation is he's just got to go out and execute. He does it in practice. We got to take it to the game.
Is there a mechanical or technical thing he's doing?
I mean, he's got his whole process of the way he goes. Every kicker is a little bit slightly different, but he has his whole process and checklist that he goes through, and is, there's just for whatever reason, a couple kicks just didn't click, and that's what we got to get corrected.
With evaluating both kickers now, how do you divvy up that playing time in Friday's preseason game?
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Obviously, we haven't had that conversation yet, so talking with both these guys, with head coach. When Coach Rule decides, he'll be obviously the guy to ultimately make the decision. So I'll probably know, and then you guys will know.
Is there enough time to evaluate both of them fairly in order to make a decision?
Yeah, I think obviously we have a lot of information on Joey. Trying to get more and more. We're going to gather as much information as we can on Dominik in a short period of time and try to make the best decision going forward.
What did you see in Dominik that made him someone you wanted to bring in to compete?
He's very repeatable swing, smooth, just confident in what he's doing, really comfortable talking with guys that have worked with him as specialists, coaches, different teams, personal coaches, things like that have had a good insight with him. Helped me to bring him in and us to be confident when he came in and performed yesterday. Did really well.
With Joey, is it just an inconsistency in games versus practice, or have you kind of seen some shakiness all around?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's done well in practice, and he's done really well. And that's the unfortunate part about this business is, especially in a specialist world, is you can perform day in, day out, but when that time happens in the game, we've got to perform, and we've got to be at our best when our best is needed, and that's the ultimate test of a specialist.
Is one of the things maybe with Joey that I've seen talking to him over the last couple of years is, do you think maybe he's just too much in his own head right now? Because he is very technical, and he just like things, he's very technical in the way he does things, and maybe overthinks it. Do you think that's a problem?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's different approaches for everybody. It's just like golfers. Like some guys are super technical and go, and some guys just swing and feel it. And he's a technical kicker. He likes to know what's happening with the swing and can be able to be evaluating it constantly. That's his process. That's worked for him. And honestly, it was helping him along the progress. And for whatever reason, there's something missing right now that we'll get right, and he'll correct, and we'll make those corrections and move forward.
Chase, is Dominik someone you guys have had an eye on for a while? It sounds like you've done a good bit of research into him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you always try to keep up to date no matter what your situation is. You never know when injury happens. Obviously going through it, had Graham before and had the same situation where he got injured in camp, and it's kind of like, all right, you got to go. So you always have a list of guys, and so I always try to continue staying up with certain people and within the circle and have a good aspect of who could come in and help us out. Dominik's the guy that I looked at coming out of college and kept up with throughout the time. Have a good relationship with the guys he's been around. So that's kind of how it all came about so quickly.
Were there conversations about bringing someone, just because Joey went through, virtually all training camp without competition, was there conversations about bringing someone in sooner to compete with him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always been a conversation. We brought guys in early in off season. We brought guys in for the mini camp. We had guys here, so it's been a conversation. He was just kicking so well that he kind of felt like, there's not really a need at this point to, as the rosters go, and you got many guys with injuries and fatigue through camp, and trying to use another roster spot where we already have 5 guys or 4. We had 4 guys. It's kind of like taking another position player away, another receiver, another corner, and having to divvy those reps up. Now you put other guys at risk. So it was obviously Scott and Coach Rule made the final decisions on all this stuff and have a good game plan in their head about what it looks like and how many guys we need each position. And at this time, he felt like we could bring a guy in and could afford it for this week.
A couple of guys maybe are borderline for a position, but have been so impressive to you in special teams, they've got a good shot at making it.
I mean, I think there's a lot of guys that have performed well. Honestly, I think, you could look at every position group that's done well and had a good made a good case for themselves. We talk about it in our room all the time. Like, you're not auditioning for just us, you're auditioning for 31 other teams. And guys have bought into that and went out and played with great effort. I thought the last couple of weeks we've really put forth a good effort on teams, and guys have stepped up to the plate when they've needed to. But it's not over. We still got another week to evaluate, and these guys got to keep stepping up and separating themselves.
You
The
said
fact that
David.
Joey went to a mental coach or psychologist, whatever he did during the offseason to work with that aspect, is that a red flag to you that
Almost every specialist does. I mean, I think you'd say half a locker room does. I mean, even when I was playing decades ago, right? Like, it feels like forever. But guys were doing it, right? Like, it was kind of taboo. You didn't talk about it. Now it's become more socially acceptable, I guess, or whatever you say. And so he's open and honest about it, which actually I think helps him through that process of being able to own up to it and say, hey, this is what I do. But that's just where we are.
Would you consider the return spots still kind of open, or you think David is locked down both of those?
Yeah, every spot is still open to me. Like you just asked. I mean, I think all these backup guys, the core teams guys that could help us as a fourth safety, fifth safety, fourth corner, fifth receiver, all that stuff, I think is still in flux. And every day, that's what Coach Rule and Scott and their crew does every day, is evaluate those guys day in, day out, and the returners will be no different.
How would you assess the battle between Fletch and JJ?
It's been good. They've both been competing every day. They come out and work. For us to be able to have two snappers that we feel really comfortable with and be able to compete, throw them in there at any point in the game, any point in practice with the ones and the twos, and mix it up and have that same operation, same consistency is huge for us.
Who's ahead?
We'll see.
Can that impact? I know obviously the holder impacts the kicker and all that, but can having different long snappers also impact?
Definitely. It all plays a part. I mean, everyone's got to get used to it. No different than if you have a different personal protector in the game and his cadence is slightly slower, slightly faster, or maybe there's a pause before the set or whatever. All that stuff plays into it, like the rhythm of it, the timing, the placement, all that. But at the end of the day, we got to make kicks. Everyone's got to do their 1/3. We got to get the snap. He's got to do his 1/3, put it on the spot, put on the money with the laces. Holder's got to get the snap, receive it, put it down on the spot, set it with the right laces forward, and get the tilt right. And then a kicker's got to put it through. So we all affect each other, especially in this small group of specialists. We all affect what each other does. We've got to perform our 1/3.
wish you had a bubble decades ago?
What's that?
Wish you had a bubble decades
Oh
ago?
man, I know. Well, we had a bubble like this, kind of. Not one.
Not here.
Not here, no. But we had the convention center at that point. We used to go walk through over there.
I was going to ask you to break down the 1/3 that you just explained and even how that impacts your evaluation as you consider all those factors.
Yeah, I mean, we evaluate every single snap, every single hold, every single kick, and we evaluate them together as they go apart, as they go as a whole, as they go individually, if that makes sense. Like, we'll break each guy down individually, and then we'll break down, all right, that was a great snap with a bad hold and a good kick, or like however that, whatever that translates to, and we do a whole process broken down through that to give us the best evaluation we can as possible as we break this thing.